Et comme promis, on va rejoindre nos collègues journalistes, Monsieur Paul et Mélanie Clémentine Juliette au micro pour des PNQ. Bonjour, c'est à vous.
Bonjour Néla, bonjour à tous. Monsieur Paul, bonjour.
Bonjour Mélanie Clémentine Juliette.
Alors, gestion Mauritius Cane Industry Authority et crapaud directeur l'audit pousse à l'organisme-là au cœur de la private notice question aujourd'hui à l'Assemblée nationale. Leader de l'opposition Ovin Boulel pointe rose ministre de l'agro-industrie MCIA l'Oban Let qui n'est changé entre bureau l'audit et direction MCIA entre 2023 et 2024. Ovin Boulel peut envie connaître Prem s'il prend sanction contre la direction.
Voilà, Mélanie Clémentine Juliette, donc un petit rappel de ce que c'est que le Mauritius Cane Industry Authority, MCIA. C'est une institution qui finit créée en décembre 2011 quand fin passe la loi Mauritius Cane Industry Authority Act et l'y opère sous l'égide du ministère Agro-Industrie et Sécurité Alimentaire, donc sous le tutelle du ministre Mahen Siratan. Donc ça, l'institution-là, il y en a pour CEO Satish Parmessa et qui supposé gère l'industrie cannière dans Maurice Mélanie pour promouvoir soutenable, un développement soutenable et efficient. Il supposé formule ban politique, ban stratégie et qu'assurer qu'il y ait un progrès technique dans ce domaine-là à travers la recherche. Donc, ban activité, les business GLI depuis commencement jusqu'à la fin. Et donc, il comprend plan de canne, codine ban zéfo, secteur public et secteur privé, régler ban problème qu'il y a dans l'industrie là, get contrat, promouvoir tout ce qui get ban affaires, ban problème employé, plantaire, et qu'après, guetter si pas mécanisation peut faire d'une manière correcte et peut servir ban dernière technologie, Mélanie, me trouver qui en ce moment même ban parlementaire d'Ibout pour l'hymne national. Donc, nous écoutons un petit bout de l'hymne national, après nous continuons.
Please be seated.
Announcements none. Papers has been laid. Question.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I have given notice to put a private notice question to ask the Honourable Minister of Agro-Industry and Food Security whether in regard to the Mauritius Cane Industry Authority, he will, for the benefit of the House, obtain therefrom information as to if cases of mismanagement thereat have been reported in calendar year 2023 and from January 2024 to date, and if so, state measures taken to address them, indicating sanctions, if any, envisaged against the management of the Mauritius Cane Industry Authority. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, sir, the MCIA is governed by the MCIA Act 2011. The main objectives of the MCIA are, first, to monitor, oversee, and coordinate all activities relating to and ensure fair, efficient, and effective administration and operation of the cane industry. Two, to promote and support the sustainable development, efficiency, and viability of the cane industry. Three, to formulate and implement policies, strategies, plans, programs, and schemes in relation to the cane industry. 4, to monitor and coordinate the activities of the cane industry, including planting, milling, processing, transport, bulk handling, and marketing. And 5th, to foster competitiveness of all segments of production in the cane industry. It also has as objective to overview the storage, sampling, bagging, packing, loading, and unloading of sugar. Section 8 of the Act provides for the MCIA to be administered by a board known as the Board of Directors. For the purpose of ensuring the efficient and effective operation of the authority, the board, in line with Section 10 of the Act, is empowered to set up any such number of sections or units as it may determine. In addition, the board is, inter alia, mandated to appoint a chief executive officer and any other employee under Sections 11 and 12 of the Act. The Chief Executive Officer is responsible for the execution of the policy of the board and for the internal and management of the day-to-day business of the authority. He is accountable to the board. To pursue its objectives, the MCIA implements a number of schemes and projects for the betterment of around 8,000 sugar cane planters. Among others, the cane replantation scheme, the fertilizer subsidy scheme, the land mechanization scheme, and the implementation of the National Biomass Framework. I'm informed that no case of mismanagement has been reported to the board or to the ministry for the calendar year 2023, and neither from January 2024 onwards. The House may wish to note that the Director of Audit has, in respect of financial year 2022-2023, which is the latest, submitted an unqualified report. Issues raised in the management letter for that financial year have been discussed and addressed to the satisfaction of the Director of Audit. I would like to add that since its creation, the MCIA has never been issued with a qualified audit report. The MCIA has always been in compliance with provisions of the Public Procurement Act, the Statutory Bodies Accounts and Audit Act, and the Code of Good Corporate Governance. Recommendations made by the PRB have also been complied with. In addition, I'm informed that the Internal Control Unit of the MCIA continuously assesses the adequacy of the internal control system of the authority. The overall objective is to identify weaknesses which may have material impact on the authority. Again, no shortcomings, fraudulent acts, or mismanagement have been reported by that unit so far. Mr. Speaker, sir, I would wish to draw the attention of the House that in the event of any mismanagement, the responsibility to take sanctions against the management rests with the board. Before ending, I would like to inform the House that the annual report of the MCIA for financial year 2021-2022 was tabled to the National Assembly in December 2023, and the report for the financial year 2022-2023 will be tabled shortly. Thank you.
Thank the Honourable Minister for his prompt reply, although I have a different reading in relation to report submitted by the Director of Audit and the management letter. Can I ask the Honourable Minister whether there was a management response from the MCIA in relation to report and the management letter that was forwarded to the MCIA?
Well, Mr. Speaker, sir, in the course of an audit exercise, it is common practice that the auditors would submit a management letter based on the observations that they have come across, and they would wish to first seek the explanations from the management before finalizing the audit report. So, of course, in the course of the exercise, audit exercise for the financial year 2022-2023, they have, of course, submitted a management letter whereby the management has responded to that, and based on that, and based on the responses submitted to the auditors, the final audit report was finalized and, of course, now signed and sealed.
Submit a copy of the management letter that was forwarded to the Director of Audit's office?
Well, Mr. Speaker, so the management letter is a document that is internal to the management of the MCIA. It is usually something that is discussed at that level. And of course, the final document is the annual audit report. this is the one that is made public, and of course it is the one that is tabled at the level of the National Assembly, and I said in my vote, in my reply, that this is going to be tabled very shortly.
Now, my reading I've stated is there are cases of mismanagement, of cover-up, and the cover-up appear to be blatant. So if I will refer to specific contract issues, which I'm sure the Minister would reply to, in relation to contract. That was a contract in relation to security services of the MCIA. And if the Minister can inform the House as to when this contract was awarded and to which company.
Well, let me go back to the report itself, Mr. Speaker, sir, because this is the final document, which is the official document of the National Audit Office for the financial year 2022-2023. And it says, on the first page itself, in my opinion, the accompanying financial statements give a true and fair view of the financial position of the Mauritius Cane Industry Authority as at 30th June 2023, and of its financial performance and cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with internal public sector accounting standards. And it also goes on to say, at the end of the letter, of the document, that with regard to the Public Procurement Act, in my opinion, the provisions of Part 5 of the Act have been complied with as far as it could be ascertained from my examination of the relevant records. And also, it goes on with regard to corporate governance report, it says, my responsibility under the Financial Reporting Act is to report on the compliance with the Code of Corporate Governance disclosed in the annual report and assess the explanations given for non-compliance with any requirement of the Code. From my assessment of the disclosures made on corporate governance in the annual report, the Mauritius Cane Industry Authority has, pursuant to Section 75 of the Financial Reporting Act, complied with the requirements of the Code.
Precisely in the name of accountability, transparency, that I asked a specific question, and if you go through the findings of the report, it is crystal clear that there's been breaches of Public Procurement Act. I have stated, asked a specific question in relation to contract awarded to a specific company. And I can go on and highlight the number of breaches of the Public Procurement Act.
Like I said, Mr. Speaker, sir, in the course of the audit exercise, they are the observations that are made while doing the auditing. And of course, in the management letter, this is where the auditors would seek for additional information, and it is the responsibility of the management to provide the necessary explanations. And based on that, if they are satisfied, only then would they issue their report. And I'm informed that the auditors were satisfied with all the explanations received based on the letter that they have submitted to the management. And after that, it's only after that that they came up with their final audit report, which was unqualified.
Impress upon the Minister that the auditors were not satisfied in relation to contract awarded to RSL Security Services, the famous company which ripped off this country in the Molnupurava scandal. And the contract was extended year after year, to the extent that the contract has reached 70 million rupees without going through the tender process. There was gross violation of tender procedure. That's the question I've got.
But again, Mr. Speaker, I still refer back to the report of the auditors. Had there been any breach of any procurement procedures, they would have raised it and, of course, seek for any information from management. And if they were not satisfied with it, they would have mentioned that in the report. At no time, look at the report, I've seen any such remarks from the auditor's report. So,
a specific question which I'm put, I will refer to a specific question, and I will not only refer to the specific question, but I can say the page in the audit report where it is, where it is stated. Let me come to Section 46.3 of the Public Procurement Act 2006, which stipulates that an amendment to a contract that will increase the contract value by more than 25% shall require fresh procurement proceedings. Is the Minister aware that the Office of the Director of Audit has found that the MCIA has breached this section of the law, not on one occasion, but on several occasions?
Well, like I said, Mr. Speaker, sir, I am not aware of any breaches, and like I said again, I'm relying on the information that has been provided to me and also on the report that I have with regard to the final audit report, where nowhere mention is made about breaches with regard to procurement procedures. And like I said again, it's a report that has been signed by the Director of Audit, dated 30th of April 2024, and in the paragraph regarding Public Procurement Act, it says clearly, in my opinion, the provisions of Part 5 of the Act have been complied with as far as it could be ascertained from my examination of the relevant records. Then either we go by the Director of Audit report or we don't.
I'm rather surprised, probably, the Minister has not been relayed with the relevant information. But let me again refer to the findings of the Director of Audit, which indicate that RSL Security Services Limited and I will not drop the name of the person, got only 12 months of lawful security contract, but 4 years of unlawful contracts in breach of Section 46.3 of the Public Procurement Act. And in the Moldupu River scandal, they got almost 80 million rupees. This time, they got 70 million rupees. Will the Minister refer the matter to the police in view of the suspicion of conspiracy to defraud?
Well, Mr. Speaker, sir, again, I'll keep on repeating what has been observed by the auditors. I mean, if there hasn't been any breaches, how am I going to go and ask for and look for mismanagement or whatever you are asking for? I mean, if you have information, like I said again, these are observations made, and once there are explanations provided by management, and if the auditors are satisfied with the explanations, then, like I said, if explanations are given and they are provided for, and that's when they would come up and finalize their audit report. And like I said again, it's all clear in the report that there has not been any breaches. And if I go by what has been the process in place, I see that there have been 3 tenders that were carried out, and there were no successful bidders. And following advice of the PPO, a fresh tendering exercise is being carried out. And in the meantime, casual workers are providing security services. I'm also informed that the services of the RSL have been retained for only one site on a month-to-month basis. So,
let me interrupt you, Honourable Leader of the Opposition. I would advise you to rely on the report of the Director, the final report laid down in the Assembly of the Director of Audit, not on correspondence or unofficial or correspondence between officers. Just wait. Because these would be engagement letters, management letters, and Parliament itself cannot accept this, because once we accept this will become official. So I would advise you, it is in your best interest and the interest of parliamentary democracy to rely on the report, the final report of the Director of Audit, not to put questions according to all information you have. This is my advice.
With all due respect, Mr. Speaker, I have information which are relevant because we are talking of people's money, public money, taxpayers' money. And I think every taxpayer in this country, and especially every planter in this country, is entitled to know.
But your question should be admissible. How come you're putting a question based on a management letter, based on an engagement letter?
Not only on the
This is not
management letter,
permissible.
in relation to findings submitted in the report of the Director of Audit, which was forwarded to the MCIA, and I expected the board to react. Unfortunately, there has been no reaction from the board. Can I ask you?
Let me just clarify something, Mr. Speaker. Sir, I have a copy of the management letter that dates 16th of April 2024, addressed to the Chief Executive Officer of the MCIA. And nowhere in that document I see anything with regard to the point, the question, the issue being raised by the Honourable Leader of the Opposition with regard to the security services contract. I don't see that in that particular management letter. Can I know from which report is he referring to?
I have the report here. If you want, I will lay it on the table of the Assembly.
That's the official report.
I'm not only referring to the management.
Let me put some order in the House. If you're quoting from a report, you should give a copy to the chair, to the table.
Now, yes. Now, the Minister informed the House, when did the Audit Committee sit? I'm talking, of course, the Audit Committee of the MCIA.
Well, Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm informed that there was an internal control officer who was appointed a few years back, but due to poor performance of that particular officer, he was dismissed. And it's only the officer had recourse to the Employment Relation Tribunal, and at that level, it was found that management and the MCIA was right in dismissing that particular officer, and therefore, during the time that the case was being dealt at the level of the ERT, they couldn't, of course, appoint a new internal control officer, and the committee couldn't really meet. Now that the issue has been settled, I'm informed that they have advertised for the post of an internal control officer, and it's only then that they're going to have a proper audit committee to meet and deal with the issues of internal control.
The Minister was Minister of Good Governance, and knowing him, he's a good accountant. I'm sure he would agree. Will he agree that the audit committee should have sat? And from information I have obtained, there's been no sitting of the audit committee since 4 years, at least 3 years, sorry, since 3 years. Is that in order? We are talking of a company which deals, sorry, with all due respect, is he aware that, this is a company which deals with billions of rupees? And there's been, I might understand, that there has been no audit committee, no sitting of the audit committee, and in this transparency and accountability, Minister,
that's for the very good reason. That's why that particular person has been dismissed, because he was not doing his duties to the satisfaction of the management. That is why he was dismissed. And of course, he went to the tribunal to seek at least the case to be looked at. But the tribunal gave a reason to the management for the dismissal. And now that this case is behind us, they have already initiated actions to recruit a new internal control officer.
Speaker, with all due respect, I'm not going to details as to why the internal auditor was sacked. This government is in the habit of sacking internal auditors
no, this
who
is
do their work.
generalization. Honorable Boulel, I disallow this question. This is not parliamentary at all.
Mr. Speaker, can I ask the Minister, if there's somebody who deserves to be sacked, it is the chief executive.
No, this is not a
of
question.
MCIA.
You cannot give orders. You're a simple leader of the opposition.
I'm saying the truth. Now, okay. Can I ask the Minister, whether in relation to Section 62 of the MCIA Act, which makes it a criminal offense for any person to contravene any provision of the MCIA Act. Any such breach carries a fine of 10,000 rupees and up to 2 years of imprisonment. Is the minister aware that, as stated in the report of the National Audit Office, the CEO of the MCIA has failed to make declaration of his assets since his appointment in May 2020 in breach of Section 11 A, B, and C of the
Honourable
Act?
Leader of the Opposition, Honourable Leader of the Opposition, please bear with me. This is another subject matter. Your PNQ was on the basis of mismanagement, thereat, and reported calendar, whatever, blah, 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 but not about declarations of assets and all these. Yeah, stick to your PNQ. Don't use Parliament as a platform. Stick to your
Precisely,
PNQ.
because I'm sticking thick and thin to my PNQ, that in the PNQ there are sanctions mentioned, and sanctions are what they are.
All I say to you
Mr. Speaker, sir, if I may.
Is this the reason, Mr. Speaker, why there's provision in the budget which would require the chief executive of the MCIA, right, to declare their assets to the FCC, and that, not only since his appointment, which dates back to 2020, not only has he not declared his...
again, this is bashing against our public officers. I will not allow this in Parliament. Members of Parliament, both sides of the House, are warned that bashing against public officers should be substantiated. You cannot use immunity in Parliament to... Please, listen to me. Keep your paper down there. This should stop. Question disallowed.
Yes. Well entertained by the public. Can I ask the Honourable Minister whether he had a meeting with the chief executive of the MCIA in relation to reports submitted and in relation to the blatant cover-up and misgivings and mishaps?
No, cover-up again. Please withdraw that word. We're in a civilized Parliament. You can't prove cover-up unless you can substantiate.
I can substantiate.
Are you prepared to substantiate?
What? That the
cover-up, you're saying.
That there's been cover-up? You go and find out.
No, we don't. You bring papers, facts and figures.
What we need
authorities to substantiate. You don't use parliamentary immunity. I disallow this. If you don't withdraw the word, I disallow the question.
Well, I've put a simple question to the Honourable Minister, whether he has met the Chief Executive of the MCIA.
Well, Mr. Speaker, sir, first, I would like just to clarify one thing. I think the Honourable Leader of the Opposition is confusing between audit report and management letter. He keeps on interchanging those two documents.
I made it clear to him.
Yeah, and of course, the audit report of any institution is, of course, a document that is submitted to the management, and this document is, of course, reported to the board of this particular institution. It's not the duty. It's not the duty of the minister to discuss the audit report with the head of any organization. But in this particular case, if he's asking me whether I have a meeting specifically on this particular report, I haven't. Because there is nothing, like I said, in this report that would have been drawn to my attention that I would need to have a special meeting with the Chief Executive Officer of the MCIA. But I would like also to clarify one thing, Mr. Speaker, sir, with regard to the declaration of assets. Because, again, it's in the management letter where mention is made that the Chief Executive Officer should have submitted his declaration of assets, that he failed to do that. Let me confirm that in the response given to the auditors, the Chief Executive Officer has confirmed that he has submitted his declaration of assets to the ICAC as required by law. So in no way has he breached any of the provision in this Act with regard to declaration of his assets.
Mr. Speaker, if I can put another question. this issue is of grave concern to one and all. Now, we all know, for example, that the turnover of this company, which was awarded the security contract, massively increased during the period of COVID. And we find out that contract has been awarded without any tender to a company despite the fact that there was an increase by more than 25% in relation to contract. Can I ask the Honourable Minister whether the Chief Executive has any close relationship to the company which was awarded the contract?
Well, Mr. Speaker, sir, I've just said in my reply that there have been attempts to appoint new service-providing companies. And so far, they have been unsuccessful. And that is why this particular firm has been retained on a month-to-month basis until they find a suitable service provider. So the question about whether he has a close relationship with the Chief Executive Officer, I'm not privy to that information. So,
please.
Light of information that has been disclosed by the Honourable Minister and the lot of questions that I have put, can I ask the Honourable Minister to look into the matter very seriously and to see to it that corrective measures are taken, because we're talking of mismanagement and we have to protect the interests of one and all, because this is a sector which has a wide audience and the MCA remains the powerhouse of the sugarcane industry. Can I impress upon him to see to it that all is done in all transparency and accountability?
Well, Mr. Speaker, sir, the sugar industry has always been a very important sector for this country. And true it is that at one time it was faced with lots of difficulties when the sugar protocol was going to be dismantled. And as a former Minister of Agriculture himself, he should have been he should be aware of through what phases it has to go through. And at the time when he was minister, where he had to really take bold measures, he failed in his duty. He failed in his duty to...
Order.
And
Order, both sides. Order, please. Order. Can you please withdraw, Honorable Boulel? Can you please withdraw?
Okay, I'll see.
That? Can you please let me talk?
Yeah.
Can you please withdraw that disgraceful sentence of cleaning shoes and whatever profession you would like to take to? Withdraw it and apologize for that. This is very unparliamentary coming from a doctor.
Okay, you want me to withdraw?
And apologize.
And apologize. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
But not your shoes.
Mr. Speaker, sir.
I didn't ask for your shoes.
Had it not been a change in government in the year 2000, and we had a God-sent Minister of Agriculture back then, in the name of Honorable Pravin Jagannath, who came up with the sugar sector strategic plan, a major reform in the sugar industry. Had it not been there at that time, we wouldn't have been a sugar industry today. So he's not the person to give us lesson when it comes to saving and protecting this particular sector. We are doing everything, and rest assured, Honourable Leader of the Opposition, that this government will do everything to protect the farmers, all the stakeholders of that industry, and the industry is going to survive for another century, if not more.
Time over.
Motion.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to move that all the business on today's order paper
be exempted from the provisions of paragraph 2 of Standing Orders.
Une séance PNQ plutôt calme. Ministre de l'Agro-Industrie dit qu'il n'a pas fini dans aucune case de mismanagement à Mauritius Cane Industry Authority. Nancy Rutten aussi dit qu'il n'a pas fini dans breach of Public Procurement Act dans un contrat qui n'a loué à RSL Security. Ovin Boulel pose plusieurs questions là, sa compagnie sécurité là. Il dit est-ce qu'il fait une breach contrat justement, fait une breach pardon, a Public Procurement Act. Est-ce qu'il CEO MCIA, il y a une relation proche avec sa compagnie-là, donc plusieurs questions qui finissent posées par Ovin Boulel.
Donc voilà, et fin récent, comment dire, une dichotomie en déquitseuse et non premièrement rapport l'audit interne, d'une part, bureau l'audit, et puis deuxièmement, une lettre qui directeur l'audit, il écrit supposément à CEO sa institution-là pour demander est-ce qu'il finit là mal donne, est-ce qu'il finit là mismanagement et Lola, ministre de l'agro-industrie, fin répond qu'il n'est pas capable table sa lettre là parce que c'est pas sa lettre là qui est important, c'est qui est important, c'est qu'il a fini gain sa lettre là, là le dit lui écrit un rapport et dans annual report MCIA qui fin table puis non y aucun mal donne qui fin signaler et là leader de l'opposition il a insisté lui dire exactement comment on dit là qui RSL il gagne un contrat sécurité pour un site là-bas et que normalement quand allouer sa contrat là, bien faire un processus tender et capable de renouveler lui, mais c'est si tender là, ce montant, il dépasse 25%, il vient 25% en plus de ce qu'il y était, bien refaire tender. Ovin Boulel peut dire comme ça, qui pas fin refaire tender. Après, là, l'in commence pose une question. Là, speaker, comment nous trouver un intervenir, il dit comme ça, cause zislo document officiel, c'est-à-dire cause zislo annual report avec le rapport l'audit, pas vin prendre lettre, etc. Mais Ovin Boulel peut insister qu'il y a une petite chose qui n'est pas normale dans sa lettre là, forcément, t'aller qu'il faut nous putain un plus de détails là dans ma conférence de presse. Et il y a aussi une petite chose qui est intéressante pour signaler, c'est qu'il y a un employé de l'audit qui finit perdu sur place de travail. Et là, Ovin Boulel peut dire que quand il y a un auditeur qui fait bien ce travail, soit disant gouvernement met à la porte, et
Ovin Boulel finit aussi faire ressortir qui MCIA, une compagnie d'État qui il y a beaucoup de cas, mais nous payons milliards de roupies. Comment pas finir sitting de audit committee?
Exactement. L'India qui pendant 4 ans encore pas finir aucun
depuis
sitting.
Depuis que le CEO est en poste.
Depuis que le CEO en poste pas finir sitting audit committee. Et là, ministre India qui c'est à cause ça même qui s'est audité là finit mise à la porte pour incompétence, qui est un petit peu drôle, parce que normalement, si un simple employé, pas peut mettre une réunion, beau de cas 20 appelés, beau de cas qui fait, pas peut mettre réunion, etc., etc. Donc, tout ça, ban détail-là, est important parce qu'il m'a pensé qu'il allait l'opposition pour faire une conférence de presse, que Pouvin explique tout ça, ban affaires-là. Et puis, il y a le dernier petit issue, Mélanie, quotidien comme ça, qui, le CEO, MCIA, l'IPEN déclare ce ban avoir. Ministre fin démenti, fin dire qu'il est fin déclare ce ban avoir, l'ICAC. Leader de l'opposition dit qu'il n'est pas fin déclare ce ban avoir. L'éclair côte l'hypéro d'aller, parce qu'il l'hypéro d'insinuer par rapport à ce ban question, qui est une proximité entre le CEO avec sa compagnie sécurité qui appelle RSL là, et il peut dire qui ministre, qui CEO là, pas fin déclare ce ban avoir, qui ministre signé. Donc, il termine à peu près l'eau là.
Oui, effectivement, Prem. Alors, voilà ce qui nous garde pour compte rendu de sa séance PNQ là, où pour retrouver Émilie Payenne à 13h pour le journal pour plus de précision.